Bulavinaka, Happy New Year. Welcome to Fiji Runway's first official podcast. I'm Donalisi Vambula. I'm your host for today. And I hope you're excited about the new year. Before we start our podcast, I would like to make a shout out to VitiPearls. Now, these pearls that I'm wearing are from VitiPearl, which is a California startup. And they have come alongside the village of Ravi Ravi in Madhuwata in Vanua Levu. So, Mbulasia, Mbulare, Happy New Year, and Mbulavinaka to all the people of Vanua Levu. And if you get to see the family, the Rakundrundu family, Heather and Eli Tia, and the boys are actually out there on vacation having a fantastic time. If you see them, make sure you say Bula and give them a high five or give them a hug. I'm sure they'd love to hear from you. The second shout out is to the Bulaboy Club. Now, the Bulaboy Club is also a California startup. And because it's winter, it's about 2 degrees some days in California. So that's why I'm wearing a hoodie. This hoodie is actually the design for Kandavu, USA. So shout out to the people of Kandavu. We're going to start off with our number one highlight for last year, which is reaching 1 million people on Facebook alone. One of the key strategies that we've used in trying to reach 1 million people on Facebook alone is creating consistent content. Now, consistency is key. For us, it means that we're posting regularly and we're doing 3 to 4 posts a week. We're also utilizing the Reels feature. We're posting stories as our highlights, and we're trying to create long form videos and also short form videos. Now, the second strategy in trying to reach 1 million people on any social media platform is creating a creative content. Now you're saying, hey, I'm creative, I can write something up, I can pull up a video, but it's creating a content that is also relatable, that has an interesting story to it, and that is what's going to connect you to a bigger audience. You've noticed that most of the videos, most of the movies, most of the stories out there are the ones that are relatable, that are inspirational, that are educational, or that are dramatic, and based on what your platform is, like the values or the vision or the mission that you have. Number one, creativity is also key. So it's trying to tell the story in the most creative way, in the shortest time frame, and making sure that the values and the mission and the vision is articulated well through that platform. So how are you telling your story? What are the elements in the story that is connecting to the wider audience? So if you're creating consistent content and content that people are reacting to, whether they're sharing it privately, sharing it publicly, whether they're commenting, reacting to the posts, following the post, following your page because of the content or the reel or the video or the story that you've created, the algorithm picks that up and pushes it to more people. Creating consistent content is probably one of the things that will work for you. It's definitely worked out for us. Now, social media marketing is very effective. I think that if you don't have the finance, if you cannot afford to advertise on newspaper or in the magazine or on radio, social media is free and it's a networking system, and it really is effective in pushing your brand out there. It's right there in people's hands. They don't have to walk to the store to buy the newspaper. They don't have to order it online. And so it's a very effective way of taking your message out there into a bigger audience. Now, why we talk about creative and consistent content is because of the algorithm. Now, the algorithm is sort of like a coding system. And if I were to explain it in simpler terms, algorithm is like the person that picks up all the popular content on social media and it pushes that content right to the top. So if you're wondering, why am I seeing the content from this page? Why am I seeing comments from this page, from this other page, and not necessarily the pages that you would really like to hear from? It's because of the algorithm. The algorithm is the one that's responsible for picking up all the popular content and pushing it to the top so that you're able to see it and the audience is able to view it as well. That's my best explanation for the algorithm. Now, the third tip for reaching 1 million people on any social media platform is curating your content. Now, I'll give you an example for Fiji Runway. Fiji Runway, after our second show, we realized that we weren't connecting well with the audience because we were trying to follow the Milan and Paris and New York style, and we were really missing out on our culture and what we have to showcase as a country. And so we decided to get back to the drawing board and say, hey, what is it really that we are trying to do here at Fiji Runway? We're trying to create this platform that will drive creatives. We're trying to encourage people to get their work out there. And so instead of trying to be like Paris and Milan and New York, all great cities and great cultures, one thing we decided on was creating a more Fiji content. And so with Fiji comes the culture and comes the values and also the history behind it. And we actually changed our social media platform and we became more Fiji oriented. So one of the things that we decided to highlight in our content is the wedding edition. And weddings are a huge part of our culture. It's a huge part of Fiji, and so we said, let's do the wedding edition. Wedding is also, part of fashion. There's like the fashion that goes into it, which is creating the garment, and also the artistry behind the hair and makeup, behind the bouquets, behind the event coordination itself. It's all part of fashion. It's all part of arts, and it's all part of the creative process. And we said, let's try this out for 3 months and see if it works. And so there are certain things that you would have to assume that you'd want to create. It might work for you, and if it doesn't, you can always change your content and get back to where your value is. Like, what is it that you really want to do, whether you're accomplishing your objectives and whether there's a return on it for you. So for us, number one was definitely changing our content to a more a Fiji version. And so we decided to highlight weddings. The other thing that we were highlighting is Kalavata. Kalavata is very much a Fiji thing, and we wanted to showcase what was out there in the market. They may not be affiliated with our organization. Highlighting what's out there in Fiji in terms of Kalavata, in terms of who's wearing it and who's printing it, and getting the word out there on what's available in Fiji. So getting creative with your content is it's necessary, but it's also fun. It's fun for us to see weddings. It's fun for us to interact with the brides and talk about what we really enjoyed about their posts. We had the post about the Andingani Creations, which is two sisters who had this joint venture, and they're doing tapa creations, and they had this fabulous wedding in the gardens of the Sleeping Giant. And the all the color and all the creativity that went into it. It was really fun for us just watching it, and also telling the story behind Aningani Creations and the wedding of the Lawe Loa couple, Asnatha and Lyndon Lawe Loa. And so just seeing that unfold, it was really fun for us. And then, you know, we also have the designer lookout, which is one of the contents that we've created, and that highlights designers that are out there in the market. They're not necessarily linked to our organization, but you know, we're just promoting the creatives that are out there, that are available. And you know, some we just find out about, some that have always been there and have always been making a huge name for themselves. You know, there's Divuya, and with her type of creations as well. So there are a lot of creatives out there. And so when we decided to take a spin on what was working for us, there's a lot of shows, there's a lot of creatives, there's a lot of weddings, there's a lot of things going on out there. We only have a short span of time to curate the content and say, okay, this is the one that we want to highlight this week. This is the content that we think will work. We like the story behind it. We like the journey, the people that are in it. And so it's a matter of trying to find out what will work for you, what is matching the value or the mission or the goal that you have, and then putting it out there on your platform. Every time you're posting, you're realizing what really works for your brand, whether it's a match for your brand, and you will know, and also the people that follow you will know whether this is something that's authentic, that's coming from you. There's a lot of things to highlight out there in the world. There's a lot of creatives to highlight there in Fiji and the South Pacific, and just trying to collect that data and prioritize it is what's important. So with all those 3 key strategies and tips in mind, I hope this has been helpful and that you get to use it. And if you do get to use it, let us know what works for you and how fun the process has been. Vinaka.